Hello, welcome to session 4. I hope you're already starting to feel the benefits. But again, this is a very personal experience. There's no right or wrong, as I often say in the guided audios. And it's about allowing yourself to progress at your own pace without any attachment and allow this process to unfold naturally. So today in session 4, I'm going to talk about the origin of stress. But before I do that, before I continue, we're going to consciously connect. And you can do that, as always, by bringing the hands to the body, or you can just rest your hands in your lap. Make sure your spine is supported. And this is also really important when we're doing the guided audio exercise, because if you're having to hold your spine in some way, there's going to be some tension in the muscles, particularly around the back, the shoulders, hips. So it's about being comfortable and allowing yourself to be supported. It's being comfortable, okay? So you can have your hands in your lap, you can take your hands to your body, you can close your eyes. Just take a moment to arrive, to become conscious of this experience in the present moment, to become conscious of what you're feeling in the body. Take a nice breath in, connect with your breath. Now you don't have to change your breathing in any way, it's just becoming aware of your breathing. Because so often when we're stressed, we hold our breath without awareness. So we can just take a moment and close your eyes. You start to feel how the breath moves in the body. And again, there's that gentle expansion as you breathe in. And there's a softening as you breathe out. Okay. You feel the weight of the body wherever you're sitting, lying. And in that way, you're in a state of receiving. Okay, you're not fighting your nervous system, so if you're still feeling a little tense or stressed, there's nothing to force, okay? So today, I'm going to talk about the origin of stress, and this is going to help you understand what you're experiencing, to bring in a little bit more awareness. So without overanalyzing it, you can just bring your attention or your awareness to the different symptoms that you might be experiencing that are related to stress in some way. Discomfort in your body, symptoms, health imbalances, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally, because these are all clues to the origin of stress. And the origin of stress isn't necessarily rational. And we tend to generalize a lot about stress, which isn't very helpful. And this is something I spoke about in the last session, that our experience of stress is unique. Again, coming back to what we're feeling in the body, what we're experiencing in terms of any kind of health imbalances or symptoms, these are clues that are going to help us heal and transform stress. And it helps us understand where the stress may have originated. So at some point, your body started to create a cellular memory around stressful experiences. And often this starts early in childhood. If you're experiencing chronic stress as an adult, it's likely that the origin of stress started in early childhood. It's what we subconsciously learned about core safety, about feeling safe and supported emotionally, mentally, physically, and whether we could rely on this support to be consistent, or whether there was an element of chaos, unpredictability, volatility. And it's what we learned about getting our basic needs met for our well-being, a healthy sense of self, and whether this was conditional or unconditional, and whether we had to adapt our behavior in some way. And as children, we don't really have an understanding of this, of what it means to feel well in ourselves. And we can quickly normalize experiences and to adapt our behavior or to suppress our needs or our healthy emotional expression in order to survive. And that's what chronic stress is really about. It's a state of survival that you're probably experiencing to this day. Now, this happens often or not as a form of generational stress or generational trauma. And when parents are disconnected, they're not able to meet their kids' needs in a healthy and consistent way. They're not able to meet their own needs in a healthy and consistent way. And this isn't any criticism of parents or family dynamics. It's just an awareness to help you understand where stress originates and to be able to bring in more awareness about what you perhaps normalized as a child but are still experiencing in some way as an adult. There's another element of the origin of stress that can go back to early childhood, and that's if you're somebody who's very sensitive, perhaps empathic, hypersensitive, and you may have struggled to fit in. And nowadays there's a lot more awareness about that. Without the awareness of how to manage sensitivity, whether it's the parents or the child, this can also be a great source of stress and another origin of stress. And so what's interesting about this is how the body experienced all of this stress and the disconnect that we talked about in the last session. If you can picture the nervous system as the brain, and then the nervous system branches out all the way through the body, different systems of the body, the organs, the limbs, everywhere. It's throughout the body. And so whenever you experienced something that felt threatening or unsafe, whether it's emotionally, mentally, or physically, the brain would have sent out this warning signal. And depending on what you were experiencing and how you felt about it, the body started to register that experience in a particular area. Often it's related to the different energy centers of the body. And this is really helpful because as we're tuning in, we're connecting with the body with more awareness, where we're feeling different sensations, discomfort, and where we're experiencing different symptoms is going to give us clues to the origin of stress. And now we're going to look at this in more detail in week 2 because there's a lot of things that we can cover in terms of bringing more awareness. But in very general terms, for example, if you experienced something that was emotionally hurtful, you felt hurt, and there was a sadness or an emotional pain, this is something that we often feel in the area of the heart, the energetic center of the heart chakra. We can also experience it in the throat. If you imagine that holding back tears, that lump in your throat, and there's a contraction that I talked about in the last session. Or for example, if you're experiencing a lot of anger or irritation, it's something that we can hold around the jaw and the solar plexus. Or anxiety and fear is often felt in the lower energy centers, so the solar plexus, the lower belly, the base of the spine, the legs. And again, all of this is giving us clues as to the origin of stress. Again, we'll talk about this next week to bring in more awareness and how you can use this awareness to heal and transform symptoms or health imbalances that you might be experiencing. So this is a little bit of awareness about what I call the origin of stress. So now, in your own time, you can go on to the guided audio exercise. And as always, if you prefer to do the foundational exercise first, then you can click that link below.